Kelly, my friend, it has been a long trip for you, I think.
Yeah, I've been, I come when I was 14 years old at Wainwright Stampede, which is a long time ago. You know, that's 52 years ago, I think, this year. And I've been actually, you know, sitting in a wagon box 50 years coming this year. So I think this is going to be a special year for me. But I'm ready to move on and let the young guys take over in the sport.
Well, you know, it is a special year for you too. Again, 50 years. You can see it on the wagon box here, and you know, everybody that you talk to says, you know, Kelly Sutherland. Without him, we don't have the same sport we do today.
Well, I think you know, there'll be stars come and go, and in the sport. I mean, when I started. You know, there was 2 or 3 guys that dominated things, and I think, you know, there'll be somebody take a hold, and there's lots of good young drivers coming. It's I had a passion, you know, and I just loved it, and I loved the competition, and a lot of my friends, you know, my closest friends have left the sport for sure, you know, and Tom Glass, he left pretty early, you know, in my word, but he'd had enough, and I just hadn't had enough, you know, and I'll often remember Dallas Dorchester, you know, he quit when he was 50, and I went up to see him a couple of years later, and up at the farm there, and he was breaking horses, doing different things, and he said, biggest mistake I ever made, Kelly. He said, I wasn't ready. So he said, you make sure you're ready, he said, when you hang her up, because he said, I wish I had a few more years around.
Kelly, I know 50 years is a long time to be racing. Is there 1 or 2 special memories? Again, you know, 12-time Stampede champion, 12-time world champion. Can you pick one that jumps out at you?
Well, I think the most memorable one was when I was 22 years old, and I'd been traveling with guys who never won the Stampede, and they were in their 50s, and you know, some in their 60s, certainly in their 40s, and some of those guys had been running 25 years, you know, and I got on stage when I was 22 years old. I looked up at that 30,000 people there. It was the first year they built the new plant at the Calgary Stampede in 1974, and we called it the new one. It was 5/8 of a mile track and big, humongous grandstand, and you know, I think that was special for me. I just felt blessed that you know, that I could be there at that age, and everything went right, which it has to when you win, and lo and behold, in 5 years, I'd won it 4 times, you know, and then at that point, it was a turning point for me that I knew if I paid attention, put my mind to it, I could dominate the sport, and you know, I just did. I just lived and breathed it, and have my whole life.
What was the secret?
Well, I don't know if there's any secret. I mean, it's commitment, and I think you know, I was blessed with talent, and you see that in any sport, NHL, I don't care, baseball, whatever. But you know, lots of people have talent, they just don't have the drive or the commitment, and you know, and I think family is important. I mean, my wife Debbie, we've been married 48 years, and you know, our children were all born on the rodeo circuit, and you know, it's been a great family life for that way. I mean, I've watched, you know, I watched Jason when he was a baby, Jason Glass, Troy Dorchester, my son Mark. You know, I raced against Gary Dorchester and against Tom Dorchester, and I raced against Ron Glass, Tom Glass, Jason Glass, and to me, it just, you know, that whole transformation, I've been kind of watching it the last 3 or 4 years, you know, and I just know for me it's time. I'm not a big man, so it's very grueling on my body, and I have to work out an hour every day in the off season, and I have for 4 or 5 years, and you know, it's just your joints and your hips and your your knees, and I mean, I just know it's time. If I push the envelope too far, I'm going to get hurt, because that's usually what happens. And I don't want that to end my career like it has a number of guys.
Well, you've got your son racing now your grandson on his first year in the Tour, so the Sutherland name will continue on in Chuckwagon racing anyway.
Yeah, well, we're well represented here this year for sure. We got 5 of them on the track. You know, we could just about hold our own wagon meet day. So, but yeah, I think Grand Prairie, you know, has always been a hotbed for Chuckwagon racing. I mean, that's where Mark originated from, and Dayton, he's been training up there with me the last year or so. Rick Fraser, Mike Vegan, Ralph Vegan, Tom Sinclair, Huey Sinclair. I mean, you can just go on and on. For some reason, that neck of the woods has really produced some tough wagon drivers. And I think, you know, the key to wagon driving is, I mean, you never quit learning, and I think that's what kept me in the sport. The days we trained, how we trained when I started 50 years ago, I mean, is laughable to what you have to do today. And if you're not prepared to keep changing and moving on and changing, because, you know, the horsepower gets stronger and it gets faster. And the horses are bred better. And, you know, the whole sport changes at all times. And that always intrigued me. I won in every decade of my career, you know, and I think that's one of the biggest accomplishments I ever had. I won in my 20s, my 30s, my 40s, my 50s, and my 60s. The year I was 60, I won the Stampede. And I always think that, you know, guys can get really tough and hot, and then the sport either passes them by, or what happens is they lose that drive. They've accomplished what they want to accomplish. And I always wanted to rewrite the record books so that the young guy that started could look at that and read about that and say, I'm going to do that. I'm going to beat that guy no matter what. And that's kind of how I was, you know. And I think a very special year for me was when I broke the record in Calgary. It had been won 10 times and I was tied, and then I broke it, and I won it for the 11th time. And then again, I was lucky enough to win it for the 12th time. So I'm hoping this year it might be number 13. There'll be more stuff for those young guys to shoot for.
Well, Kelly, again, you know, the farewell tour, I'm sure you're going to be doing this a lot more with guys much more important than me. You've got the fans. The fans are going to be coming out. I mean, I'm sure you've talked with a lot of them as well, and they'll probably chit-chat and share memories and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, you know, a lot of fans that followed me. I have people come, and, you know, one come in Medicine Hat when I was there, and they said, well, you can't quit, you know, we're the same age, you know, you understand I was following you when you were 17 years old, and I was here or there in Calgary, and now I'm moving out. And I said, well, you know, time passes, and I always respected fans. I didn't have them all, because I heard a lot of boos every once in a while, but a fan never bothered me, you know, for fans to pick people. It's much like hockey. I mean, if you don't have fans that dislike a team and root for the home team, well, nobody would buy tickets for the game. I mean, the reason you buy is because you're hoping to see somebody achieve something, and I hope that I've instilled that into the fan base. And you know, I'm much the same. I mean, I follow lots of sports, and I'm extremely happy when a team wins, and I dislike the other team. And it's not, I don't know any of the people. I mean, the people are just people, and they're athletes, and they're all great. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there. And it's much like our sport. I mean, so I always respected the fan, and I always tried to pay tribute to them. Like when I had a run, and they were there, they were waiting.
Kelly, I know you're not going to be in the box next year. Are we still going to see you around the tracks at all, or are you going to hang out at home and take a summer off?
Well, I might come down. I mean, I'm tired. We move a lot. You know, we pack up. We're much like the Midway. We just, you know, we're in here in this town. We dump a bunch of money here, and then we pack up, you know, all 36 of us, and move on. And I probably will spend the summer in Grand Prairie. I haven't seen the summer in Grand Prairie since I've been a kid, you know, and I've got 2 little grandchildren. Debbie and I are blessed with, you know, a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, and I've had them on horses since they've been 2 years old. And we ride 3 days a week, and every other time except May, June, and July when I'm gone. And I get that phone call every once in a while, and you know, I just think that I'm going to spend some time there. I'm going to go to the mountains. I got a nice RV. I'm not going to tent it. I'm going to RV it out there. And I got power plant and all the rest. And we're going to do some riding. We're going to look at the odd moose and the odd elk. And I used to guide when I was a kid, you know, for 3-4 years. We guided Americans in the bush, in the mountains. And I just love that way of life. So for a year or two, I think, you know, I might be there. Like I said, I probably would come down to Pinoca, Calgary, you know, wherever there's a big dash, and probably go down there. Certainly, if there's a Sutherland in the finals, and it'll all depend, I guess. Well, if I hear the barrel draw before the final, I might not even head down there to see it. But I'll be rooting for him, and they know that.
Well, Tom Glass moved into the broadcast booth with CBC, and I said to Mark when I was talking about when you announced you were going to be leaving the sport this year that it would be a nice fit to have you in the booth with the CBC during the Stampede with Tom.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see where that goes. I mean, you know, for certain, Tom is a wealth of knowledge, and you know, I think it's very important to have people like that can actually explain to the general people across Canada what's actually going on. And he's been there. You know, he's a tough guy. He's won the Stampede. Him and I went head to head for, well, let's just say we're a lot better friends since he quit wagon racing, because you know, either he won it and I was second or third, or you know, him, me, and Dallas Dorchester, we were head to head for about 15 years. So I have a lot of respect for Tom. He's a great guy and very knowledgeable in sport, and we'll see where it goes. I mean, anyone that knows me knows I don't have any trouble chatting. So if it fits, I might head down for a stint.
Any thoughts of a memoir or an autobiography or a book of any form?
Well, lots of people have been talking. A good friend of mine, Stan Schwartz, is just writing his, and I don't know. I think I'd have to have somebody else, you know, tape it and write it. But there's a lot of stuff. I mean, I seen it from the ground up, the sport, when I come in '67, and where it's went today, and all of the huge leaps we made up into corporate sponsorship. Some of the battles I had with the Calgary Stampede, I had many of them, you know, all for the betterment of the sport, nothing for myself. I always said I can win on the racetrack. I don't need any special treatment. I just need the same as anybody else. And I think you know, I probably have a lot of memories about the sport, and a lot of characters. You know, characters. A lot of them are gone today, but man, there's some stories you could tell about some of them guys.